I started doing workshops and doing groups where I'm getting up in front of others, like outside of the gym setting, and talking about resilience and perseverance and goal setting and vision and taking action.
You should know what 1 hour of your time is worth. You should know the value that you bring to the marketplace. You know what you're passionate.
Starts with clarity of vision. If you don't have the clarity of vision, whatever next thing you get, you're not going to see it through because you don't have the clarity of vision. So the point of my pain was being told you will never run or jump again. And all that stuff, I was like, you know what? Like, I want to be able to take this even bigger.
If you know why you do what you do, you have to know how to charge for what you do. That's how you're going to change your life, and that's how you're going to leave a legacy for your children and your family. You got to know your worth.
Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rob, and I am back with episode number 369 of Shut Up and Grind. We're all about overcoming obstacles, defying the odds, and inspiring you to clear whatever's blocking your path to whatever success you want in this lifetime. So before I bring on my guest, I just want to share that I created an app. I actually created two. One is called Speak Like a Warrior, which is geared towards male veterans, because the male veteran suicide rate is still very, very high. So it's a place to where veterans can come and share their stories of PTSD in a safe place, and then the app will actually take their story and turn it into what could be used as a keynote presentation. So when you go back and you read what you went through and how you got through it all, it actually turns into a powerful and inspiring story. So that's gonna be dropping soon, and it's completely free. It's like I'm not gonna make a dime off of that. This is just about giving back to the world. All right. So today, I titled today "How My Guests Turn Darkness into Light." And so those of you who follow the show on a consistent basis, you know that that's what we're all about. I bring guests on from all over the world, and they shared their stories of perseverance, resilience, and how they got through what they went through. And I've heard some doozies over these last 369 episodes. But one thing that everyone has in common is that pain is pain. But a lot of people get stuck on the healing because they're stuck on what happened, right? What happened in the healing stage, it doesn't matter. It's how did it not break you? So once you get over that part, the initial what, then you can find those golden nuggets there. Like when I was told I would never run or jump again. It's like people have knee surgery every day, so I didn't go through anything spectacular, but my recovery process is an amazing story, So we're going to bring on my guest, Laura Bratton, and we're going to see what she's been through and how she got through it. How we doing?
Great. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. So where you joining me from?
So I'm coming from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
As you can tell in the accent, I don't have to say, right?
I was just going to say that. I knew it was somewhere south.
Oh, yes.
All right. Are you originally from there?
So I'm originally from South Carolina and now live in North Carolina, but that's only 45 minutes from where I grew up. So it's technically North Carolina, but very, very close. So the accent is all the same.
Sorry. Okay. Were you affected by that flooding last year?
Yes, tremendously. Yes, by Hurricane Helene. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, but before we dive in, let's just discuss that really quick, because we only see what we see on the news. So what was it like to actually live it?
It was I can't accurately put into words how bad it was. The news did not even touch it. The flooding, the mudslides, truly the devastation, the lives lost, literally just about a week ago on a hike, looked down at a river and there's just couches and chairs floating by.
Wow.
And that's a year later. So it could not be put into words. The devastation, the destruction, it was absolutely horrible.
Wow. Did you personally deal with any loss?
So I thankfully it was only roof damage, not any damage that couldn't be corrected. We were without power for about 13 days, without internet for about 3 weeks, maybe. And the house I'm living in right now we couldn't even get here for about probably 2 weeks because there were so many trees down, so many mudslides. So there was that kind of period of not knowing what condition is the house in. Has the house literally been crushed? Has the house, is the house standing? Is the house full of water? We had no clue. And the neighborhood where I was in South Carolina at the time, literally every other house had a tree splitting through the house.
Oh God.
It was,
how nerve-wracking,
right.
Sorry, how nerve-wracking was that initial drive home?
Again, you're just in shock. It's just absolute shock going through the motions. Really that week that, that initial, like you're saying, getting there without, living without power, it's just literal survival because everyone was just reaching out. Okay, what can we do to help each other? Literally get your trees out of the house, just clean up the yard. So it was just pure survival.
Wow. Unreal. All right. So we can circle back to that if it ties into, like if it affected you, what you were doing now. But for starters, let's get to know you a little bit better. So how would you describe yourself?
So there's one word I would use to describe myself, and that is courageous.
Courageous.
Okay. And I want to define courageous. The way I define it is, and this is developed over my lifetime and life circumstances, I've learned that courageous is experiencing difficulty, validating those feelings, and choosing to still move forward when it's hard.
Yeah.
So I define courage as, again, having that courage to acknowledge the hard, admit that going forward will be hard, and yet you still choose to do the next thing.
Yes.
So as I look back over my life, both in the past and where I am now, I would absolutely define as courage.
Okay. Solid answer. How would you describe your upbringing?
So the first 10, 12 years were just wonderful, typical Southern life. Grew up in a neighborhood with we had 60 kids on my street. We counted. So that's like a true number. So it was just constant bike riding, playing in the streets, playing in everyone's yards, just calm, just at ease, just the kids, us as kids having fun. We weren't aware of all the stress of adult life for our parents, right? Like we just were having fun riding bikes and playing basketball in the driveway and just having fun. At the age of 9, I was diagnosed with an extremely rare retinal disease. And even though I was diagnosed as a 9-year-old, it didn't start affecting me until a teenager. So during the high school years, that's when I lost all of my sight. So by the time I graduated from high school, I had no sight. So that's when the reality of that 9-year-old doctor appointment diagnosis, that's when it became real, when I was a teenager and obviously had to face life without sight and grieve that loss.
Was it a gradual loss or did it just bam, it just hit you out of nowhere?
It was gradual, but it was very quick. So it was gradual in the sense that, no, I didn't wake up one day, go to sleep with 20/20 and wake up with no sight. So it wasn't like you're saying, it wasn't just instant, but to lose all your sight in 4 years is not normal. That's not a normal process. So it was quick and gradual all at the same time. I know that makes no sense saying it, but living it, that's how it felt.
Yes. Okay. So navigating high school can be a challenge with vision, right? So how did you do it without vision?
The emotional part was the hardest part. And what I mean by that, it was the constant, yes, I was grieving my vision loss. I was grieving my vision loss, but I was also grieving what I was no longer able to do. So again, as you mentioned, high school is difficult with sight. I deeply was grieving. My friends are getting their permit and their driver's license. That's something I can't do. So my friends are constantly gaining independence in those 4 years, and I'm having to relearn how to live life. So that made the grief even harder. So it wasn't just the vision loss, it was everything that went along with that age in life.
How did you cope with the grief?
That's the gift. The gift was that as I was deeply, deeply grieving, as I was overwhelmed with anxiety, as I was in deep, deep depression, obviously as part of the grief process, it was the support around me. So I dealt with the grief by having the support system around me that empowered me to move forward. So thankfully, my parents pretty much immediately put me into counseling, working with a therapist, specifically around grief. Not just counseling in general, but specifically, how do you grieve in a healthy way? How do you acknowledge the loss and then choose to move forward? And then it was just the constant support of my family, my friends, community. For example, my parents, where I was so overwhelmed with the future and, oh my gosh, how would I live? How do I do this life now? They would remind me every single day, Laura, all we have to do today is today. Today is enough. And even within that day, we would take it hour by hour. I mean, it was a very literal day by day, moment by moment. And it was also a healing to the grief. I laugh about it now, and this doesn't, when I say it, it's not going to sound healing, but it was also just that normalcy, just normal life. And what I mean by that, I have one older brother who's 5 years older. He continued to treat me like that annoying little baby sister that absolutely drove him crazy. Like, he just wanted me to disappear off the face of the earth when I was driving him crazy. That normalcy was the source of healing. At the moment, I was like, you are so mean. Like, why aren't you feeling sorry for me? Why aren't you babying me? But I realized that was the greatest gift he could have given me. Because what he was teaching me and treating me as that same little sister as he always had before, he was teaching me, you're still you. You're still the same human. You just can't see as well. You're not automatically less of a person. You're not automatically no longer worthy in this world or not having purpose in the world. But you are still you. You just don't have as good vision. And so that was deeply healing. It didn't, like I said, it didn't feel healing in the moment. But as I reflected back, I realized how healing it was. So it was a combination of a lot of different sources of strength that helped me move through the grieving process.
Okay. You know, I think I want to clip that part and let my sister hear that. My sister had a brain aneurysm burst in 2016, and she still has partial paralysis on her left side. And she's like just so mad that this happened to her. Like, our whole family, we're very active. Like, we're very strong-willed people. You know, we get through things. But like, she really let this injury kind of define her. You know, so the fact, like you just said, I'm still me. I just can't see as well. Like I try to tell her, I'm like, you're still you. Like
You're
you can
still
still do
you.
all the things you did before. It's just gonna look a little different. And people have to
you'll
understand
just
that.
do those things in a different way. But yeah, 100%.
Yes.
You're still you. Your gifts are still your gifts. They didn't magically disappear.
Yes, exactly. And I want to expand on something that you said, because I think it's a powerful, powerful sentence that a lot of people don't grasp. It's that all you have to do is today. That's it. All you have to do is today. It's like people try to pull stress from later in the week. Like on Sunday, I have to X, Y, and Z. Like, why are you worried about Sunday? Enjoy today. It's like worry about Sunday when Sunday gets here.
Yes. And that is important anytime in our life, and especially when we're going through difficulty. Because that's all we can emotionally and even physically handle, our energy. Because it takes so much extra brain power when we're in difficulty, when we're in adversity. Today's enough. Yes. And again, I mean, a lot of people kind of can say that as cliche, but I mean that very literal on taking hour by hour. I mean, I can still remember days in high school where my goal was just get through the first class that was an hour and a half, and then just get to the second class, and then I'll figure out how to get through that class. So it was very literally taking the day section by section by section.
Yeah. So as you see, we're sitting in a gym now. So like when I'm working with my fitness clients, especially the newer people coming in, and I'm like, just crush today. It's like crush today, wake up tomorrow, and then crush tomorrow. And then we're going to wake up on Saturday and crush Saturday. And we're going to repeat that. We're going to repeat that until you reach your goal. Then we're going to set a new goal and start the process again.
Right.
Like, as long as you do that, you're good. And overcoming things like me being told I'd never run or jump again, you dealing with losing your vision. Like you have to wake up every day and face that reality. Right. Every single day. Like I have to do stuff every single day so I can run and jump again.
Right.
And a lot of people aren't willing to put that work in. So what was a big source of your inspiration to get up every day and not just throw your hands up?
Honestly, it was the support around me that still believed in me. When I was incredibly anxious, living in constant panic attacks, extremely depressed, not knowing is it even worth it to move forward? Like, is this effort even worth it? It was the support system around me that still believed in me. And at first I thought, well, that's weird. What's wrong with you people? Like, why? What? That's just kind of weird. Like, why are my friends still my friends? Why is my brother still my brother? Why are my parents still treating me like their child? Like, that's kind of weird. And then when I slowly realized, oh, they still acknowledge I am who I am. They're accepting and acknowledging what we were saying. You're still you. It's just now we realize you do things in a different way. So their belief in me gave me the strength to adopt that and believe and rebuild that self-confidence and become comfortable in my own skin. So it was 100% because the people around me, they were modeling it. They didn't say, like, they never said to me, oh, Laura, we believe in you. It was just through their actions. Honestly, if they had said that, I wouldn't have believed them and I wouldn't have listened. It wouldn't have been as powerful. But because they just modeled it, I started to believe in myself. And that's what gave me the strength to move forward.
Yes, believe in self. Absolutely. Yes. So one thing that a lot of people struggle with when they do have something different about them, like growing up, I had a bad stutter. I have skin tags on my right ear. And out of my brothers, like I hit my growth spurt the latest, so they're all big and muscular and I'm short and scrawny. It's like just going through life thinking that there's something wrong with you. And in the book that I wrote with the same name as the show is Shut Up and Grind, chapter 1 is There's Nothing Wrong with You. Because I went probably my first 10 or 11 years of life thinking that there was something wrong with me because I stutter, I got stupid skin things, and I'm scrawny. And it was just till the doctor told me, the speech pathologist was just like, there's nothing wrong with you. He said, you just have to slow down a little. That was it. And then I stopped stuttering. All I had to do was just slow down. You know what I mean? So going back to what you just said about belief in yourself, like a lot of time, going back to what I said in my intro, people get stuck on the what, right? Don't get stuck on the what. Like, all right, this is the reality. Now, how do I crush each day within this reality? Right. So, so now you finished high school. Did you go to college?
Yes. So I graduated from high school and then, immediately went to college.
Okay. What was that like?
That was exactly what you just described. It taught me nothing was wrong with me. And the reason I say that is, let me back up and say, in those few months in between high school and college, I got my first guide dog. So I'm at college with a guide dog, and I went to Arizona State, which is an extremely large campus. I wasn't the only person with a disability. And I was just integrated into the system, my classes wasn't any different. My major was psychology, so I didn't take different classes or separate classes. There was nothing. The only thing different were my textbooks were on PDF and my classmates' textbooks were in print. So it taught me what you just said. Nothing's wrong with me. Up until then, I thought the vision made me less than, made me like deficient. It taught me nothing's wrong with you. You just are who you are.
Love that. Love that. And that goes back to what you said earlier. Did I write it down? Oh, about who you are at your core, right? So you losing your vision doesn't change that. And that's why I asked that question. Because a lot of times people grow up and they attach their identity to their career. You know, people who have injuries or disabilities, they attach their identity to that disability. So like when I was told I was never going to run or jump again, like my competitive side kicked out.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, game on.
Game
you know,
on.
because that's who I am at my core. I could have just took that diagnosis and ran with it, you know, but I was like, no, like as a competitor, I cannot accept that.
Right.
You know, so with you, what you did is you stepped into that courageous spirit. Right.
Yes.
So that's what you did. So what is your advice to someone who has that issue where their identity is away from their core values?
Trust that you have purpose and meaning and value beyond your situation.
Love that. Solid answer. Do you have anything more?
Yeah, okay. just to expand on that, like you said, we often attach, oh, now I'm disabled, so everything I do in my life has to revolve around that. It's like we isolate ourselves only to the disability. It is deeply healing to realize we are so much more than our disability. I mean, using my example, just my life as an example, I'm so much more than blindness.
Yeah.
And so just being able to tap into that is deeply healing to remind us and teach us we're not our disability. We're not our injury. Yes, that's a huge part of us and affects every single literally moment and part of me. Yet both can be true at the same time. It can affect every part of me. Obviously I have a disability. I'm not in denial. Do I even have this?
Yeah.
And yet I still have a lot of gifts that are not related to the disability.
Absolutely. Like doctors always ask me if I want to have the skin tags removed. And sometimes I forget they're there. Usually it's a kid or someone that's like, what are those? Right. And so,
of course.
But I was like, honestly, no. I said, it's a part of me. It's a part of me. I was born with them. Keep it. It's like, keep it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
You're not going to be better of a person if you have them removed.
Exactly. It's not going to change who I am.
Right.
Exactly. Whether I have them or not.
Right.
But so what led you to go into psychology?
So Actually, that was a perfect question following what we just talked about. So both. I was definitely leaning towards psychology before all of the blindness started. That was my natural innate lean, just even as a child, as a early adolescent. But then because of my life experience, that solidified, yes, I definitely want to go into psychology to learn from an academic perspective. How do we heal when we experience major adversity, major difficulty, long lasting or acute, whatever it might be? How mentally do we heal? How does our brain learn to adapt and move forward? So the reason I say both is because it was my leaning before the disability, and then because of the disability, absolutely what I wanted to go into.
Okay. And what did you want to do with that initially while you still had your sight?
So all I knew is just support people in the mindset realm. I didn't have I wasn't old enough yet to have a defined, I want to help this group, this population. I wasn't that specific. I just knew in general, I was fascinated with how our minds work and how we have power to control our thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So from there, so now you finished college. What was next for you?
So I continued the theme on psychology. So I went and got a master's of divinity. And the reason I did that was because I realized as I got deeper and deeper into the psychology, and again, my own personal experience, healing was not just mental. It was the constant combination, overlap. There was no separation in the mind, the body, and the spirit. And again, I realized that from my own lived life experience. I wasn't just healing mentally by working with a therapist. I wasn't just healing spiritually by focusing on spirituality. I wasn't just healing physically by focusing on exercise and working out and eating well. It was all of it combined, and I couldn't separate any of it in the healing process. So that's why I went forward on a master's of theology to have a better understanding academically. How does all this spirituality work? I've got the psychology, now give me the spirituality so then I could connect the dots. So that was all that was from my life experience.
Solid. Yeah. So yesterday, this isn't completely related, but somewhat. Right. So yesterday I was supposed to have a podcast at noon, and the guest didn't show. So I'm sitting here, I'm waiting, and they didn't show. So one of the things I always preach on here is keep your eyes on the prize. Like no matter what life throws at you, keep your eyes on the prize. So that, and back to my point too, like there's always silver linings. Right? When bad things happen, there's always silver linings. So like I texted a friend and I said, hey, when I hear some good news? She's like, yeah, sure. I said, my podcast guest didn't show up. Right. And so I paused and waited for her to respond. And she's like, and this is good news, how?
And why? I'm waiting for the end of the sentence, right? She didn't show up, but she sent you $1 million check, right?
Well, no, just unrelated. So because I wasn't doing the episode, I went through my emails, and this guy, I've done some programs with him before. You may have heard of him. It's Billy Jean Shaw. Like he's very big into marketing, and so he put out an email like the first 50 people he's beta testing something, and everything that Billy puts out is gold. Like I have a lot of his programs, and so he's like, first 50 people can get in for $100 and you have lifetime access. I was like, sold. So I got in. I was number 39, so I was able to get in. I know he has a gigantic email list, so I got into that program, which is going to work hand in hand with the apps that I just created, as far as automating the marketing. So had he showed, I would have missed that opportunity. Wow. You know what I mean? So
wow.
There's silver linings everywhere.
Everywhere.
So, all right, back to you. All right, so what do you do now? work-wise
So
or career-wise?
what I do now, I've created an organization for speaking and for coaching. So obviously the speaking is to groups, to companies, to organizations, and then the coaching is working with people individually. And what I've trademarked is experiencing grit and gratitude. So my whole entire work with the speaking, with the coaching is completely centered around, as we navigate through change, how do we use grit and how do we use gratitude as resources to navigate through, so that the situation doesn't just lock us down, overwhelm us, shut us down, and we just stop we kind of freeze where we are, we don't move forward. So it's all about empowering others as they navigate through change with the resources I used and still use. And I'll make that very, very clear. Yes, I use these tools initially, but blindness isn't going anywhere, right? Like, this is here to stay. I still use the grit and gratitude every single day.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Like when my father passed away in 2019, whenever, I mean, if I tell the story from the time he got sick until the time he passed, it's like I can't get through it end to end without getting choked up at some point. But when I just tell bits and pieces, like I have it so dialed in now because I quickly shifted to a place of gratitude.
Yes.
Quickly, because I was 45 when he died. Like there's people. I interviewed a gentleman on this show his father was killed in Vietnam while his mother was pregnant with him. So like he never even met his dad. So like I was fortunate enough to have mine for 45 years. Yes. So the very next day, now mind you, this podcast was booked probably 4 months earlier before my dad passed. And he died on a Monday and I had an episode scheduled for Tuesday. Now I very easily could have canceled that episode and nobody would have blamed me. Like I just watched my dad die. Right. But I was like, nope, because I always preach about showing up. I was like, nope, I got to show up. And what did you know? That episode was about grief.
Wow. Seriously.
Right? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Right. And so,
wow.
But my guest son was murdered, and so that was like probably the most impactful but tear-filled episode that I've ever done. Like it was crazy. But showing up is important. So how do you show up in your everyday world?
It circles back to the courage. So how I show up now is acknowledging the reality, acknowledging when a situation, when I'm frustrated, or acknowledging, gosh, if I still had sight, I could do this task in 5 minutes and now it's taking me an hour. Just acknowledging the reality. The reality is I don't have sight, so that task does take me longer. Acknowledging what is, validating those feelings, and then choosing to move forward with the grit, with the balance of the grit and the gratitude. So it's constantly living in that balance of the grit and the gratitude to balance out and to acknowledge just the difficulty of life.
All right, so define those two in your words, the grit and the gratitude.
So the way that I define grit, I love Dr. Angela Duckworth's work on grit. So let's say for me, the long-term goal is obviously living life in a sighted world without sight. So the way that I define grit is, yes, that's my long-term goal. Yet what is my everyday, small, tangible goals? And again, it goes back to those high school days. Sometimes it's living moment to moment. Other times it's not that intense focus. It's not living moment to moment, but the reality is it's still difficult. So the way I define grit is, again, acknowledging the fear or acknowledging the panic, acknowledging the feeling I'm feeling, and then choosing to still believe in myself and move forward. When it's not hard, I combine the words. When it is hard, right? Like, it's not that I wait till it feels good and then I choose grit, right? Or wait till I'm happy and joyful and then move forward. It's choosing to move forward despite the situation. The way that I define gratitude is...
Hold on one second. Before you define it, no, there's a comment for you on Instagram. Says she's amazing. Wow, fully inspired. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, while you were talking there with that grit definition, I was saying to myself, be spiteful, be spiteful. And then you came out and said spite in spite of. Like, so we were on the
Because
same
it
page
has
there.
to be. That's a key part for me of grit that I wish I learned a lot earlier. Typically we think of like, oh, just wait until it all feels good and then move forward. Wait till you feel like calm and peaceful and then move forward. It's despite the fear. It's while the fear is still happening.
Absolutely. Like, just to use my sister again really quick, like, life can change on a dime.
Right.
It's like she was at a school in Massachusetts. She got in her car and she was driving to another school, and that's when the aneurysm burst. So, like, in a blink of an eye, her life changed.
Correct.
Like, so when I have those days, it's rare, but I am human. I'm like, I'll have those days where I'm like, I don't feel like going through my emails today. Shut up and get it done. It's like you just got to pull yourself back out of it and keep your eye on the prize.
Right.
Like,
it's just acknowledging,
like,
hey, I don't feel like checking my email today, but yet if I want to keep every life going and moving forward, I have to check email today. And yeah, you're absolutely right. We're totally human. We're going to have those days. Sometimes I'll call my best friend and say, okay, so today, do not tell me to have grit. Just give me 5 minutes or give me this conversation to complain, and don't tell me to have grit. Don't
That's
even
funny.
bring that up. Just let me complain for this conversation. And we know each other and we both hold that space for each other that, yeah, we're absolutely human. And sometimes that grit looks like just complaining to release it, not to be victim or to wallow in it forever, but just to get it out of our body, just to release it. Just, there's something about saying it, just getting it out of our system that's healing.
Yes. Yeah, it goes back to that validation, because self-validation is a thing too.
Right.
To just come out and just admit it. It's like, wow, this sucks, but it needs to get done.
Right.
At the end of the day.
And that takes, when you can just say that, it's like, okay, then I can get it done. But when you're trying to say, oh, I can't say it sucks. Oh, I can't say that. I can't think that. I can't acknowledge that. It's harder, right? Like the task is even harder to get done because we're holding in how we really honestly feel.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so let's get to gratitude then. What's your definition there?
So the way I define gratitude, and again, this is through life process, is acknowledging, being thankful, appreciative, being grateful for what helps us navigate through life. So it's acknowledging the people, the situations, the places that allow us to keep going in life. And for me, the way that gratitude all started was a conversation with a mentor. And I want to share that brief conversation, because if people are listening to me today and saying, okay, I could never do gratitude, that's exactly where I was. So that's okay to doubt me, like I doubted my mentor. So one day she said to me, Laura, I want you to start writing down at the end of every day 3 people, situations from that day that you're grateful for. And of course, being from the South, I smiled and nodded and said, okay, thank you, like all polite. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, you are a terrible mentor. Like, that's just not good advice to tell someone who's depressed, who's panicked, who's losing their sight. Tell them to be grateful. Like that just makes no sense. I have nothing to be grateful for. So in my Southern stubbornness, I decided I was going to show her, and I was going to prove her wrong. This was a terrible idea. So I started to try to think of things I was grateful for to prove to her I couldn't think of anything. And I was going to turn in my paper, not literally turn in, but show her my paper that had nothing written on it, right?
Yeah.
So the one day became 4 days. And the 4 days became a week. And the week became a month. And that's when I realized what gratitude was and what she was teaching me. She was not teaching me to wake up and say, gosh, I am so grateful to be blind. This is wonderful. I recommend this to everyone. We should all try this. Rather, she was teaching me to wake up and say, I'm grateful to have a guide dog that helps me navigate the world. I'm grateful to have parents and a support system that believes in me when I don't have the strength to believe in myself. So that's how I define gratitude. Again, it's not being grateful for anything, everything, walk around saying thank you all day long. That doesn't work. Rather, it's acknowledging and appreciating what helps us navigate through life.
Yeah, I agree. And to piggyback on that, it's like there are kind acts every single day, every single day. And our brains are programmed for danger. Right. So that's why people can write down 20 stresses right off the top of their head. Right? And they don't even focus on those little things. Like when I was going through the process of writing my book, because similar to your program, this is stuff that I went through. Like it's not just about like my life story. People ask me all the time, how are you always in such a good mood? How are you always so positive? Like how are you this? So I wrote the how, right? I broke it up into 13 worksheets. And there's only 15 chapters, and there's 13 worksheets in the book. So these are things I actually did. But as I was going through the writing process, it unlocked a lot of stuff that was just dwelling in my subconscious mind. Things that I had long forgotten about, stories that I completely forgot happened. But getting through all the bad stuff came easy. It was just right there, right on the top of my head.
I agree.
Ooh, I gotta weave that story in. Ooh, I gotta weave that story in. So I think a lot of people, it's kind of like when people say, what's the other word? Like motivate. Like motivate. When they say mindset, gratitude, I think people kind of just lump all those things into one thing, and they're definitely not. Like
way different.
I worked with a woman who found her brother passed away, and she was actually here in Rhode Island. So I drove up to her gym, and I spent about maybe an hour and a half with her, just dissecting everything. And I helped her find a lot of positives through that, because you can't change what happened.
Right.
So people have to understand that. You can't change what happened, but you can learn from the process. And all right, I said, so when you left that room, what were your first thoughts? I was like, when you got in your car, did you immediately turn it on and drive away? Did you sit there for a minute and try to take it all in? And we just broke down the next 6 months. Yeah, and gave her a lot of takeaways. So it's like she's never gonna unsee what she saw. Just like I'll never unsee my dad's last breath. But I can go through and look at all the things he left behind, his memories. His Facebook account is still active, so you can go to his Facebook account and look at quotes he put up, or stories he told, or see him dancing like a fool at the family reunion. So it's like you take yourself out of that sadness by focusing on the gratitude. A lot of people don't understand that.
Yes. And you said it perfectly. It's focusing on the gratitude in the situation. The point is not to minimize the reality, right? Like in my situation or in your situation with your dad, it's not to minimize, finding or being with your dad in his last breath is good. It's not to make that a positive situation, is what you said, to find the positive that comes out of that. You can still experience the joy of all his pictures and quotes and videos on his Facebook page. So I want to make that very clear to everyone. It's not just being grateful for anything and everything. And let me say it this way, dismissing the pain. It's recognizing what we are grateful for that gets us through the pain.
Absolutely. All right. So what type of people do you work with? So you said speaking and coaching, like do you stick to any particular niches?
So typically with the coaching, as far as the speaking, it's definitely focused on organizations going through change as they experience major change and they feel stuck or feel overwhelmed with how do I navigate through this, rather than just getting fearful and shut down by the change. That's my focus for the speaking. For the coaching, it's the same principle. It typically tends to be people with experiencing non-death loss. So the reason I say that is we often think of grief as the death of a loved one. And that 100% is, and grief is so much more. Grief is living with the reality of a diagnosis, is a major job loss, relational change, physical change. There's so many different losses that we experience in life. So typically the people I work with are those people going through those major losses that were non-death, but also deeply impact our life.
We are 100% aligned there, because when I give my talks, I say the same thing, that loss or grief isn't just losing another person. Yeah, it's true. Like if you were at a job for 20 years and you get laid off, you know what I mean? Like that's loss. That really is loss.
So many people, I'd love to know if this is true for you too. So many people say to me or tell me, oh, but I shouldn't be sad. I mean, like, no one died. I'm like, that's a huge loss for you in your life. It changed every aspect of your life. So again, we have that laser focus. I only can grieve if it's a human death. And what you said, forgetting, if we lose that job after 20 years, that's a major loss. That's 100% grief.
Yeah. Friendships, mentors, customers, guests, whatever you call them, clients. There's a lot of loss. Like I walked away from my gym, my fitness business in 2023, and that was heart-wrenching. It was absolutely hard. Like I had some of my clients who were with me over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Over 8 years, over 7 years, and making that decision. But I had to, like, in order to get to where I am now, I had to get out of that situation. Like, it wasn't serving me anymore. And that hurt me for months. It took me a while to get over that. Just the work that we did to get it built, remembering the ribbon cutting ceremony for the grand opening, it was definitely a loss. Definitely.
It's a huge loss.
But yes. All right, so we're gonna start bringing it down. So first, I want you to give me some final words. Let people know where they can find you. Although I'm pretty certain I have your website in the description, but you can still tell them anyway.
Yeah, so the best place is my website. LauraBratton.com has all the information on speaking, coaching, the book. It's all right there.
Nice. All right, and some final words.
Final words are, remember that in the midst of change, in the midst of adversity, in the midst of difficulty that you're going through, either now, have been in the past, or even that obviously you don't anticipate, but will experience in the future, remember that you're enough. And I say that because in the midst of difficulty, in the midst of adversity, in the midst of loss, it's so all-consuming. We forget that we are still enough, that we are valid, that we are worthy, that we matter. So that would be my final words, is just, even if you don't believe it yourself, just hear me say, you are enough.
Love that. That's part of my first chapter too. There's nothing wrong with you. Because we're all complete. We're all complete, and we all evolve. Like, if there's something you don't know, go learn it. It's like you went to college. I dropped out of college, and here we are inspiring the masses. You know what I mean? So it's like the path that you take doesn't matter. It's like I got backdoor educated. Like I traveled the country, and I went to like the top masterminds for fitness masterminds, for marketing, for branding. I joined masterminds on Zoom when everything shut down in 2020 to figure out how to get in media, podcasting, all that stuff. Like anything that you need, especially now, the information's out there. And we live in a time where you can be successful with zero education and zero talent. Just turn on Facebook, turn on TikTok,
Yeah.
Turn on Instagram. Just show up in a
Yes.
bikini and you got 1 million followers.
Instantly, right? Yes, 100%. That is
All
so
right.
true.
Well, thank you very much. Right. Thank you very much for taking the time. So we are aligned in a lot. So like if you want to come back and do a follow up episode, I would love to have you. And also, did I delete this yet? Also, I do panels as well. And here's an example of one. This one we did about embracing vulnerability. So like there can be up to 7 of us because I usually invite 6 people, and
Okay.
then I close out each round. But we pick one topic, and we
Okay.
have everybody give their take on that one topic, right? Because when I first started it, people were like, what if we all say the same thing? I'm like, I guarantee you won't. It's like there
You
might
won't,
be
I
some
guarantee it.
overlapping,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, there might be some overlapping pieces, but we're all gonna have a different point of view, and that's okay. Like my style is straight and to the point. You know what I mean? It's like I don't sugarcoat, straight to the point. But that doesn't work. That doesn't work for everyone.
For
Some
everybody,
people need
right.
need more empathy. Slow it down. Show me the steps. So my style won't work for that person. They'll be too intimidated. But there are other people who are kind of meek. Maybe they're not risk takers. Like they need my kind of energy because they don't have it within them.
They don't have it.
So
Yeah.
so doing those panels is great, hearing everyone's take on it,
Perspective.
and you really get 7 different points of view with every panel that I get.
So cool.
So
yes. Oh my
yeah.
gosh, I would absolutely love the opportunity to do both, be on a panel, and yeah, there's so much more. You're right. We're so aligned. There's so much more we could talk about. I mean, we could do a whole episode just on grief.
Yeah, absolutely, we could.
Because I don't think there's enough education on what grieving well looks like.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of those things too, where it's touchy because like the mainstream society says, you can't rush people. You gotta meet them where they are. And it's like, okay, I mean, after like a year or so, if they're still there, like, can we draw a line somewhere?
We gotta draw a line.
Here are the steps.
And that's
Yes.
what you said perfectly about the in spite of. You just have to move on in spite of difficulty.
Yes, absolutely. Like again, when I went up to see my friend, I told him, like, you're stuck in the what. I'm like, that's why you're not getting better. Like you're stuck in what happened. I said, we got to look at this through a different lens. Like, I'm not telling you to not feel the way you feel. You can feel whatever you want to feel, but these are the steps out of it.
Right.
And you repeat these steps, and then over time,
yes.
Right, the more you start reviewing the golden nuggets,
right,
that level of sadness and loss is gonna slowly start to decrease.
Right.
And I get I don't want to say backlash for, but some people are like, oh, you're talking about mental health stuff and you don't have a degree. Well, here I am with someone with a degree who's agreeing.
Like seriously, people really say that?
Yeah, I coach high school track and field, and my first week on the job, so I was talking with the kids about mental performance, and I had to meet with the athletic director. They don't want me talking about anything mental health because I'm not a doctor.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you are aware mental performance and sports performance go hand in hand. Right? They go hand in hand. So he was like, I'm not saying I disagree with you. He's like,
right.
The principal said you can't talk about that stuff.
So oh my God.
I just found other ways to talk about it. I just didn't use any of the buzzwords.
Good.
Yeah, I didn't use any of the buzzwords.
Good. You use different words, right?
Yeah. So instead of saying anxiety, I would say, if you get butterflies in your stomach before the race, right, this is what you can do.
Perfect.
Perfect. If you're not feeling overly happy today, right, try this, and just different ways.
Perfect.
Different ways to do it. Because you can't have the kids. Yeah, like the kids can't grow up just hating themselves. Right. It's like that's what's going to happen if you don't tell them that there's other ways.
There are other ways of other opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. But before we go off on that tangent, we got to bring this down. But yeah, I will definitely have you back on. I have some people that I think would be a good fit for you as well. Well, I mean, you would be a good fit fit for them if you want me to connect you.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because like a
Absolutely.
lot of these episodes that I've done, a lot of them have their own podcast too. So
Yes,
and I keep
please
pretty
do.
good contact with people.
Please,
Okay,
absolutely
awesome.
do. Yeah, and I'd love to talk to you sometime. We can do it offline, just sometime about the middle performance, because I do that now with travel softball teams, and
Okay.
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. So I'd love to talk to you about just how to expand that work.
Okay, awesome. Will do. Let me jot that down so I don't forget. Yeah, because I do that with track athletes.
With your wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, like what? Actually, let me end the stream and then I'll tell you this offline. All right. So thank you for coming, and we'll cue the outro.
You've been listening to Shut Up and Grind. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Robert has over 20 years experience pouring his knowledge and expertise at many events in the service and fitness industry, as well as secondary schools and universities. He has a true passion for helping others break through the barriers that are holding them back. To book Robert B. Foster to speak or to reach out, go to robertbfoster.com. Till next time, shut up and grind.